I'm currently conjuring these June essay words as my alter ego, the hypothetical poet, and maybe also as a bit of a blowhardy one as well. Just like when I learned phonics in a parking lot trailer in second grade. How is it really any different? And is that 8-year-old still somewhere within? Or have I grown too cynical and unworthy, littered with other people's bullshit? So maybe that former innocent version of myself has moved on to some other realm. For where do all of these thoughts even originate? And why did I choose this stream of consciousness format in an essay attempting to deduce if life is merely a prolonged stream of consciousness? I mean, billions of different streams merging and separating across the multiverse, loving and despising, teaching and manipulating, reproducing and floating on. Or maybe I'm just a puppet like you and Gonzo and that manic depressive monster of Cookies who constantly tries to fill his own void with cookie. So I guess I'm just going to birth a paragraph of nonsense like this each day and see what my subconscious will relay to my fingers on this black mirrored soul-sucking modern convenience that might have trapped all of us in a digital hellscape of apps and porn and so-called streamlined productivity. There I go again, referring to humanity in terms of a stream. Regrettably, this time in a more morosely dehumanizing fashion, dealing with the stuffed crust of what remains of a dwindling, honest working class. Life. Just like that song from preschool regarding some metaphorical boat. But maybe it's the breathing that's really more a stream than a dream. Or maybe dreams are just a deeper part of the ancestral abyss unknown as consciousness. Better block the bad seeds, those rotten to their cores. The corrupt law erasers, the jerk-off dependents and defendants, the preachers off the dismayed wagon of fanciful divinity. But godless purity is just as blank and ego-infested. So I eat and work out with brooms to pinch more blood in this analyzed stream of otherwise murky waters. But where will the stream go now, and is it okay to consult Google with some of these congested concerns? For my life insurance business failed due to lack of referrals, so hopefully you can spread this humbled stream and smoke it if you notice any signs of life. Are you queer if you have no kids, hate romantic comedies, and endorse a 20-year plan of artistic cultivation in the desert? Likewise, would one encounter a perverse hiccup when one's Instagram feed turns into softcore porn and celebrity eroticism? Like back when I was humping cushions to J-Lo's Waiting for Tonight in 1997. But forget drug and sexual addictions, for political rehab is much more needed to continue this human experiment without the pomposity of being pompous, while forming less abrasive terms for collateral damage. The lone wolf composer again demands a global audience of 33,000 unfarmed bots to donate $15 of your preferred currency as a reward for a lifetime of musical agony. For even the good songs, and there are a few, I thinketh at least, pierced my analog lungs and clogged my melodic arteries. But the dream still dreams, for dreams are meant to be dreamt by virgin dreamers without many outlets to vent the vagueness of breath. But my brain is on automatic stream mode again, so I'll have to approach the rest with a very hands-off degree of uncertainty. uncivilized and free as a baby bird hidden behind the fridge. But flying is not as easy for humans with all our political madness and feuding oddities. But birds probably have cunts and assholes in their societies as well, like those scavengers smoking the remnants of joints while waiting for those most vulnerable to snort their mental breakdown so they can swoop in and steal shit. But maybe that's a rite of passage for birds and humans alike. Better judged by some higher power who pisses on our eternally misappropriated culture wars and shits upon our political manipulations from his heavenly throne in the clouds. Which is somewhat related to my inkling that God must take huge shits when he peruses his Instagram, and if he ever clogs his holy porcelain, he could always just shift the excess sludge to hell, because all those suffering souls probably won't even notice rancid poop of the omnipotent design. And God's shit might actually smell like freshly baked chocolate chip cookies, cookie. And it would hopefully make that whole eternal damnation timeshare situation a bit more livable among the damned, especially when Satan throws his annual summer block party. When my head explodes, do not save the words that erupt from my tangled dome, although they might form a sort of lullaby if I can determine a goofy enough juvenile melody in those final moments. But those childhood games of sticks and stones will sadly eventually evolve to fallout shelters, nuclear-capable theocracies, and an ego-obsessive communal materialism devoid of logical brain revolts. Maybe the final stream in this query on the legitimacy of whether I am indeed real or not, like San Ra often asked, at least according to a book I'm currently reading, is a bit on the fake side of this stream, as I've already edited multiple passages, which goes against the free-balling spirit of this free-flowing deluge in this freewheeling country, where freedom isn't exactly free according to certain accounts of what it actually means to be free. So maybe this wayward tributary flows back on track as I repeat words that hopefully provide the reader comfort and liberty and a sense of legit individuality when it comes to writing one's award-winning life script, minus the lost sheep, as I'm still struggling to achieve that fabled utopia within my own conscious, subconscious, and what often feels like unconscious side mission streams. Still, I'd rather take the abstract route and spew some of my usual jolly filth as we approach someone's very special 250th birthday. Maybe because the other inkling for June's essay was to read Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead and see where Ayn Rand and myself might align. But maybe I am also a bit frightened that I would come off as heartless and more selfishly redundant, which is bad for my artistic perception and might make me a somewhat easy target for big government proponents trying to murder and/or malign my otherwise oblivious soul that I'm not even sure is truly within me. So I guess this is an example of no harm, no foul. Although my 2020 trauma originated not from the political spectrum or any fractioned eyesight, but from a widely broadcast fear that manipulations are now truer than truth, or maybe that the truth has always been at least some part manipulative. Like that famous quote about history being written. But should I really spend my time within this specific stream writing about how cliches are usually a mild but triggering form of mentally ignorant delirium, spoken by those who have nothing fresh sparking in their frontal lobes, and I'd include myself in this porous parade? but at least I am honest regarding how dishonest social doctrines have evolved within a forcefully decrepit fog. Might I possibly compose a song from this stream someday to make me appear less pretentious and comically arcane, trivially dismayed, criminally pancaked? Yes. Maybe this will truly be my next spoken word manifesto of confusion, frustration, and delayed inner reunions. Like when I heard a quote from Bryce Harper that he's constantly chasing the ghost of himself, which reinforces my belief that all of us are poets and artists to some extent. But this brilliant line also made me a bit jealous that I didn't come up with it before him. During those maniacal momentary lapses when I bled onto the digital page, hoping that the digital gods might throw me a digital bone and kickstart my creative engine with a financial boost long awaited and preemptively appreciated. So keep hitting homers, Harper, and hopefully I can keep striving to find my own ghost while creating better ones along the way, waiting for me to catch up to the plot, as I still maintain that Frank Gallagher should really have run for president on a no shame and no guilt, psychedelically proactive platform. And I swear I'll write the musical of President Frank Gallagher someday soon if my stream of life selects to continue instead of hitting that irrefutable reset button. And so there you go. Life has indeed been proven to be a maddeningly bearable stream of consciousness, somewhat. That is, if you can grin towards the trigger, embrace the burnout and sizzle, and love as much as your predetermined path foresaw. But your better demons and better angels and better rodents already know all of this and are likely bored of unmitigated mutants like myself, trying to figure out what cannot be calculated, even by the fanciest of AI quantum chips. As that wickedly wired data stream leads to the next morbid chapter of whether coded machines also experience similar rivers of consciousness, for the higher pursuit of corporate profits, of course, with perhaps a bit of a different telepathic stroke, utilizing similar masters, cracking that metaphysical whip and figuring out when I was just following orders deems a justifiable response. But I won't attempt to tackle data centers, AI, and all that derivative lifeless jazz within this particular I am not a robot said in a Dick Nixon voice stream. Whether it has been fully my own or not, as life is too short, whether it's streamed or simulated, and comparing our DNA to complex computer code will likely make me sound even more foolish than my dime store philosophical musings. On a side note, my phone just auto-corrected dime store with digestive. So let me truly conclude this stream now before I write more bunk about God's bowel movements as he sits upon his heavenly throne in the clouds, conducting his own majestic stream known as all of existence. If you want to wax poetic about the possibility that there is some higher universal order of universal justice and universal checks and balances. But at this point in the game, God is probably too distracted by his Twitter feed, full of funny videos about shocked monkeys in a zoo, attempting to mimic one of those curious human visitors performing a backflip. Or was all of this primordial jest akin to a deep fake video from the depths of my own personal neural network that was hacked by some anarchic actors pretending to be me, my voice, my brain farts, my illogical, contradictory mental hassles, which doesn't really work since whatever me refers to is already not very concrete, magnified by this very moment as creating these water-resistant streams are likely not of my own conjuring, like a forger of souls, or is it more like that oft-sought-after ghost that Bryce Harper critically mentioned, that I sometimes get lucky enough to find when the future seems stale and uncooperative, and the stream turns more into a patch of ice with a redundant, hypocritical, narcissistic tone that even climate change won't be able to melt, until the next stream comes and washes us all away in a digitized flood. Unless you're lucky enough to hop aboard the next giant fucking ark with all those joyous fucking monkeys still trying to do fucking backflips while enjoying every fucking second within this crazy fucking feed called life.